everyone, and I just wanted to come in here really quick before the video starts and just say I know my voice is very scratchy and it wasn't very good in my opinion at that moment, but I do hope you guys still enjoy anyways. And thank you so much for watching this, and I hope you all have an amazing day, and please be careful out there. And I love you all so much. Hello everyone, and welcome to a new video. This is Golden Hearts, Chapter 19, Awkward Interruption. I think this is part 7 of the series so far. I think probably like 12 or 13 parts. I'm not really too sure yet. But I hope everyone is having a fabulous day so far, or night, whatever time it is. And let's get started with the book. The rest of the shift had went as your name had originally planned, with the others doing their own thing, and her and Goldie in the office. He was sitting in the office chair with her in his lap. Goldie had refused to let her go all night. Not that she was complaining. Goldie was currently playing with her hair and singing to her softly. His voice was so soothing, she had almost fallen asleep. "Hey, Goldie?" she asked softly. "Hmm?" He stopped singing with a gentle hum, signaling he was listening. "Why me?" she questioned. Goldie blinked. He looked down at her with questioning eyes, trying to gather what she meant. "What do you mean, love?" he asked. There were many contexts to that question. He couldn't quite answer without her elaborating. "Why did you choose me? Why am I so different?" she asked, playing with the hem of her shirt. Goldie made a sound of recognition, finally understanding fully what she meant. Goldie thought for a moment, then chuckled softly. "I'm not sure myself, if I'm being honest, but the moment you walked in through those doors, something drew me to you. Perhaps it was out of curiosity, perhaps confusion that they allowed females to accept this job. I'm not sure, but I do know that something had pulled me to you. Once I got to know you, you made me feel alive again. When you were hurt, I felt so immensely angry that I could have killed someone that even thought about touching you." He paused, making sure his soft speaking and playing with her hair didn't make her fall asleep. Once noting she was listening very intently, he continued, "When you cried, I wanted nothing more than to wipe your tears. When anyone talked to you, I felt jealous. Honestly, I felt nothing but butterflies in my stomach since seeing you. I think I fell in love at first sight, but you must understand it it had been so long since I felt anything besides anger and violence." He placed a gentle kiss on top of your head. "Why you? I will never know, but I'm glad it was you, and—" Your name noted, he had paused. She adjusted herself to where she was facing him more. Tilting her head curiously, he smiled softly. "I never wanted to lose you," Goldie finished as he gently took her face into his hands. Your name practically melted at his touch. Her heart began hammering loudly in her chest, and butterflies seemingly flying around like crazy in her stomach. She had never felt this way before. Goldie smirked slightly upon hearing her heartbeat. He was fairly certain if he was completely human, his would have been beating as loudly. But he felt the flutters and a small ache where his heart would be. Leaning down, he captured her soft lips in a passionate kiss. They were so caught up in the moment they hadn't heard the bell chime or someone entering the office. Someone clearing their throat made Your Name jump up with a squeak, and Goldie nearly jumped himself. Your Name looked up to meet another guard. She was practically freaking out. Oh, she stammered quickly, trying to come up with an excuse. But the guard suddenly bursted out laughing, and Your Name quickly became confused. No wonder this guard lasted so long. The boy covered his mouth. Goldie, why didn't you tell me sooner? Your Name's cheeks flushed even redder as Goldie stood up, protectively put an arm around her waist. Goldie's blue eyes narrowed at the male in front of them. It was none of your business, Fritz, Goldie said. Fritz rolled his eyes. I'm your best bud. Of course it is, he said before getting a better look at the female. He grinned. But she is rather beautiful. No wonder why you guys didn't kill her. She is, but don't even think about touching my precious girlfriend. Got it? Goldie warned. And Fritz laughed again. Your Name watched their interaction and noted that Fritz seemed like an overreactive kid. She didn't mind, after all. Goldie's friends would be hers now. How did you guys meet? She asked suddenly, and Goldie bursted out laughing at the memory. It's not worth mentioning, Fritz quickly mumbled. However, Sir Blonde had other plans. Oh man, it was great. So Fritz here was hired to be the new night shift guard about 2 years ago. To our surprise, he had made it to the fifth night. However, he managed to summon me. Goldie chuckled. I was about to kill him, but he screamed like a girl, and I laughed so hard I thought I was going to explode. Goldie laughed again, and Fritz groaned. I need to head out. Your Name spoke suddenly, as she glanced at the time. They had been talking for a while. Goldie frowned. He didn't want her to leave, but she looked so tired. Leaning down, he captured her lips into another kiss. This one was quick and sweet, but a flash enveloped the room, and they broke apart into a smug-looking Fritz. Fritz lowered his phone and grinned. It's a good picture. I'll make you both a copy. He smiled, and Your Name blushed darkly. Goldie didn't mind for the most part, quickly bidding them both goodbye. Your Name left. Goldie and Fritz watched after her in silence. So, Fritz began, and Goldie glanced down at the slightly shorter male. When are you gonna bang her? His answer? A very hard smack to the back of the head. Fritz deserved that. So, Chapter 20, Intruder. Your Name pulled into her driveway. She felt so exhausted. The night had been good, aside from a little visitor they had. Frowning, she thought of the pain and suffering her friends and boyfriend had to endure. She had learned that the incident was many years ago, and that Vincent had gotten away with it. Thinking about how much time had passed, she noted that meant Goldie was older than her by a long shot. Her phone chimed, and with her notification tone, picking up her phone, she noted it was a photo from an unknown number. Clicking it, her face turned red. She quickly saved the photo, then read the message. Hey, Sorry to invade your privacy, but I figured you would like this on your phone. Your name smiled. He was thoughtful to apologize. She assumed either he or Goldie had looked up her number in the files. It was a little creepy, but she had grown accustomed to much more than a little creepy things. Exiting the messages, she went to her photos and quickly sent the picture as her wallpaper. Her, her heart swelled with joy, and it almost made her forget all the bad things that happened to her. Finally getting out of her car and making her way to the front door, she froze. The door was practically open, and she could hear the TV inside. Her heart began hammering in her chest, and fear filled her thoughts. Quickly making her way inside, she headed towards the sound. She found no one in the living room, and confusion consumed her. Her thoughts were answered when her front door slammed closed. Whipping around, the hair-colored girl felt a rise in her throat. "It's about time you got home," the male spoke, a grin forming on his face. "Vincent, what are you doing in my house?" She squeaked. To answer her question, he tossed the enveloped handbook to her. "Page 240, Section C, line 32, he said with a shrug. Your name blinked, but quickly flipped through the pages. Her heart sank as she read it. Who made this rule? No way. You can't stay here," she nearly cried out in frustration. "That's a shame, darling. I don't make the rules," he shrugged. "Besides, it's only for a few weeks," he smirked. "No. Get out." Your name was stubborn about this. There was no way a psychotic child murderer was going to stay in her house. She would call the owner and get this situated out. Hell, she would even beg him. Vincent was in front of her. Before she could process what was happening, he slammed her against the wall and she let out a scream of panic. "Listen, Night Guard. Policy says I have to stay with you. As I said, it's only for 2 weeks. Got it? Or do I have to make myself more clear? Because I am fairly sure they showed you what I am capable of." He smirked. His grin grew wider. Your name began to tremble, and this confirmed his suspicions. "I'll stay out of your way, you stay out of mine." Your name nodded weakly, and he released her. She quickly scurried away and ran upstairs. Quickly, she locked herself in her room. With shaky hands, she gripped her phone tightly, and she began typing a message. Okay, this is going to be the last chapter. Well, not of this book, but of this video, I should clarify. Chapter 21, Crushed. Fritz sat back down at the desk after making his rounds. He picked up the tablet and began checking the cameras. This place wasn't too packed, so it made today an easy day, though he knew it would pick up around early afternoon and dinner time. Flipping to the stage show, he noticed the animatronics were performing, and what children were there were screaming happily. He smirked. Excuse me. Kids really loved them. Placing down the tablet, he leaned back in the chair with a sigh. Finally, he had a moment of peace. His phone buzzed, and he picked it up. Your name had replied. Unlocking his phone, he checked the messages. "Vincent's in my house. He showed up with the rule book that said he has to stay with me since he has nowhere else to go. I'm scared out of my mind, Fritz. He was inside when I got here." Fritz's breath caught in his throat as he read the messages. All the guards knew of Vincent's past, but most think he was cleared. Fritz, having become friends with Goldie and the others, knew better. He flung himself out of the chair and grabbed the employee handbook off the shelf. He quickly flung through it as Goldie quickly walked into the room, watching Fritz read something with wide eyes. He tilted his head back. "Fuck," Fritz hissed as Goldie blinked. "What's going on?" Goldie asked. Fritz nearly jumped out of his skin with a startled yelp. "Goldie! Hey, bud! What are you doing here?" Fritz laughed nervously, rubbing the back of his head. "Well, I live here." Goldie smirked at his reaction. "Internal damnation and whatnot," he finished with a wave of his hand. "Oh, right," Fritz said, looking to the side and laughing nervously. Goldie's eyes narrowed at his voice, as well as Fritz's quickening pulse. "What's going on?" Goldie asked sternly. Fritz gulped and laughed nervously again. "Oh, just checking the rule book," he said, rubbing the back of his neck. Goldie was about to lose his patience with his friend. He seemed afraid to tell him something. "What rule?" Goldie pressed on, and Fritz sighed in defeat. He didn't have a choice, and it wasn't like he wouldn't find out when your name came to work that night. "The rule," his eyes darted up nervously to Goldie, then to the floor, "where if a guard has nowhere else to stay, then they stay with the night guard." No wonder the boy had seemed nervous. Someone was having to stay with your name, and it was a male, no doubt. Goldie couldn't help but stare at him with wide eyes. "Who doesn't have a place to go?" he asked through clenched teeth. With anger rising, he was hoping it was Scott, as he was the most calm of the four guards. That and the most mature. The worst case scenario would be Vincent, but surely that wouldn't happen. His worst fears were confirmed now, as Fritz showed him the message on his cell phone from your name. Goldie's eyes turned black as a vicious growl came from his throat. He snatched Fritz's phone and reread the message a couple of times in hopes he read it wrong. With another growl, he crushed Fritz's phone in his hand. Fritz seemed a fault at that, as he had just gotten this phone. It was a newer model, and Fritz was really proud of it. "I'll be back," Goldie said, dropping the phone to the ground. Before Fritz could stop him, though, Goldie had teleported away, just staring at the now empty spot. At the smaller male whimpered, leaning down to pick up his phone. "My poor baby," he cooed at the inanimate object. "Daddy will fix you soon enough." The owner, who had been passing by at the moment, heard him. With a roll of his eyes, he scoffed at the poor boy. That was hilarious. Well, I hope I hope you all enjoy those 3 chapters, and I really do hope you are enjoying this series. And there are 2 more other books to this story. Comment down below if I should read those with it too. But I hope you all have an amazing night or day. I don't really know. But I'll see you all in the next video.